Rodri to Barcelona. For 4 years? And for 65 million euros? Yes, you heard that right. And whichever club gets mentioned the most in the comments, I'm covering their entire transfer window in the next video. So hit that like button, because trust me, you're going to want to see this one. Now grab yourself a proper cup of tea, because you're going to need to concentrate for this. What we're about to talk about could be one of the biggest transfer hijackings in modern football, because this isn't just a transfer, this is a full-blown football drama. And the main character this time is Rodri. For months, Real Madrid looked like the obvious destination. Madrid were watching. The players seemed to fit exactly what they needed, and everyone thought the deal was basically theirs to lose. But then, Barcelona showed up. And suddenly, the whole story changed, because Real Madrid thought they had time. They thought they were in control. They thought Rodri would still be there whenever they decided to make their move. And that could turn out to be the biggest mistake they've made in this transfer window. So let's rewind. Manchester City had a problem. Rodri's contract situation was becoming increasingly important. There was only so much time left before the club would have to make a decision about his future. Keep him, renew him, or sell him while they could still command a huge transfer fee. And with Pep Guardiola leaving the club, the situation became even more complicated. Because whenever a manager leaves, players start asking questions. What's the next project? Who's staying? Who's leaving? And what does the future actually look like? That's exactly why City couldn't afford to ignore the situation. If Rodri wasn't going to renew, selling him for a huge fee could make financial sense. And one of the clubs waiting in the background was Real Madrid. Madrid desperately wanted a midfielder who could control the center of the pitch, someone who could protect the defense, someone who could dictate the tempo, someone who could do the job Sergio Busquets once did for Barcelona, but for Madrid. And Rodri was basically the perfect profile, a world-class defensive midfielder, Spanish, experienced, technically elite, and already proven at the highest level. It looked like a match made in heaven. But here's where things started getting messy. Real Madrid reportedly wanted to take their time. They didn't want to overpay. They believed their position was strong. After all, what player wouldn't want to wear the Real Madrid shirt? That confidence can be dangerous, because while Madrid were taking their time, Barcelona were watching. And Barcelona had a problem of their own. Frenkie de Jong's injury created a huge hole in the midfield. Suddenly, the need for another elite midfielder wasn't theoretical anymore. It was urgent. Hansi Flick needed control. He needed experience. He needed someone capable of taking responsibility in the biggest games. And there was one name that immediately made sense: Rodri. Barcelona didn't waste time. They started moving. And according to the latest reports, they've now improved their offer to around 60 million euros. Manchester City, however, want closer to 80 million euros. So we've got a 20 million euro gap. And that 20 million euros could decide where Rodri plays next, because Barcelona aren't negotiating for some squad player. They're negotiating for one of the best midfielders in world football. And if they get him, Real Madrid are going to be absolutely furious. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. There have been reports that Pep Guardiola had previously warned Manchester City about selling Rodri directly to Real Madrid. The idea? Don't strengthen Madrid, especially after everything that happened between Guardiola and the Spanish giants over the years. Now, whether Pep actually gave that instruction or not, that's still disputed. But the rumors alone were enough to cause chaos among football fans. Because imagine if City deliberately refused to sell Rodri to Madrid, only for Barcelona to come along and get him instead. That would be some next-level transfer window drama. And Barcelona knew exactly how to sell the idea to Rodri. They weren't just offering him money. They were offering him a role, a project, a legacy. Barcelona could tell him, "You can be our midfield leader. You can become the next great number 6 at this club. You can take the role that Sergio Busquets made iconic." And that's a powerful pitch, because Rodri isn't just looking for another contract. He's already won the biggest trophies. He's already played at the highest level. At this stage of his career, legacy matters, and Barcelona can offer him something City can't: a return to Spain, a central role in the rebuild, and the opportunity to become one of the faces of a new Barcelona era. Now imagine the midfield: Rodri sitting deep, Pedri ahead of him, Gavi bringing the intensity, and Frenkie de Jong returning when he's fully fit. That's ridiculous. You're talking about a midfield with technique, energy, experience, and control. Rodri could basically become the metronome of the entire team. And that is why this transfer could be so important, because Barcelona have spent years trying to find the perfect replacement for Busquets. They've tried different players, different systems, different solutions, and the same instinct to make the simple pass look effortless. But now, let's talk about Real Madrid, because this is where the story gets painful. Imagine you're Real Madrid. You've identified Rodri as one of your main targets. You've got the prestige, you've got the money, you've got the Champions League history, you've got the shirt every player dreams about wearing, and you think, we'll get it done when we're ready. Then Barcelona come in, make the offer, and suddenly, your biggest rival is negotiating with the player you wanted. That's not just losing a transfer, that's getting beaten by Barcelona in the transfer market. So now I want to hear from you. If Rodri joins Barcelona, does that make them favorites for La Liga? Would he be the perfect replacement for Busquets? And if you're a Real Madrid fan, would you be furious if Barcelona pulled this off? Let me know in the comments. And whichever club gets mentioned the most, you already know what we're doing next. We're breaking down their entire transfer window. So make sure you subscribe, because this summer is getting absolutely ridiculous. And if Rodri really does end up in Barcelona, believe me, the next Clásico is going to be absolute chaos. See you in the next one.